This falls under the whole thought that I tell you guys about reacting off of intel instead of impulse. Or sorry, reacting off of impulse instead of intel. This is a huge common mistake that is very detrimental to players. They react off of their own feeling and impulse during a round instead of reacting off of info. What you did here, you reacted off of impulse, and you thinking or feeling like the attackers are near the barricade, you detonate the nitro. What is going on, guys? H21 Mayo here, and in today's video we're going to be having ourselves another viewer VOD review video. Now, I went over the viewer's VOD form and he said he really struggles with recoil control. He's only been on PC for about a year, so he still struggles with keyboard and mouse and stuff like that, so I'll definitely touch on those things. So actually, a correction. He's been playing the game for about a year, but he has just swapped to PC for about 3 months. So he has, you know, almost a year experience on console, and then he just swapped over to PC. So this is his first full season. So when it comes to console switchovers to PC, is that everyone has their kind of expectation that they expect out of themselves when it comes to skill and what they know they're capable of when it comes to this game and playing well and stuff like that. Well, it's really difficult for a console player to switch over to PC because it's a completely foreign, you know, input device with the keyboard and mouse versus controller, also the feeling of the game and stuff like that. So when you swap from console to PC, you need to understand and lower your expectation of yourself, because you will not be able to perform as well or, you know, play as well as you once did on console, just because you have a completely different input on a different platform. Like, there's a lot that's changed. You need to understand that, be comfortable with not being as good as you once were on console. And another thing that a lot of console switchover players do is they don't commit to the PC platform. They either have friends over on console that they still want to play with, or they, you know, they're not playing as well as they would like to on PC, so they just swap back to console and, you know, don't really play PC all that often, or they swap between one another a lot as well. Like, they'll play on PC and console from time to time. So you need to commit to one platform and stay on it, because you swapping back and forth from one another is just only time that's going to be eaten up that you could have used on performing, or not performing, but increasing your skill of performance on the other platform. So if you want to play on PC or play on console, you need to commit to one. But other than that, like, you know, when it comes to switching over from PC, I didn't do it personally, but I can imagine how it is. You know, it's just going to take time, right? Like, you understand the game on a basic level of map knowledge, operators, all that good stuff, possibly even game sense. Now you need to port that over and then build upon that once again, because you're just going to be on a completely different platform. So everything's going to be foreign to you. So you just really have to be patient with yourself, is another really important thing. But now that I've gone over all that, now let's actually get into the VOD itself.
We are
so when it comes to placing a Mozzie Pest like that on the door, whenever you're playing an operator like Mozzie, Legion, Kapkan, well, Mozzie's sort of an exception because you might be trying to do something very specific with it, but you kind of want to deny the drones before they reach the bomb site, right? Because the whole point of you playing Mozzie or Mute is to deny drones getting info on you and your team on the bomb site itself. So you putting a Mozzie Pest there is kind of defeating the purpose of playing Mozzie in the first place. I'm not saying that the Mozzie Pest won't be effective, but it can be more effective if it's placed in a better location, right? Before we carry on with the video, I quickly want to mention that 50% of you guys aren't subscribed, so if you guys have not hit that sub button already, I would really appreciate it. It also helps out with the YouTube algorithm. I also want to mention that I can coach you, so if you guys want a private coaching session or a private VOD review session, there's a link to my Patreon down below in the description, and yes, I do coach console players. And lastly, I also want to mention that I have a second channel. What you can find here is exclusive content like private coaching sessions. You can also find tier lists and any other content that is from my Twitch live stream. A link to that is also in the description.
But you know who I've started the main a lot on defense as well? Jaeger.
Yeah, Jaeger's a pretty solid operator.
Like,
I'm not sure what's happening here, but you guys haven't reinforced anything. You're just running around, not doing anything. You've been playing the game for a year now. You definitely know what reinforcements are, so use them. You even said in the VOD form that you want me to be as harsh as possible, but you're making a mistake like this. Like, come on, man. I'm not here to babysit you and tell you what you need to do in terms of reinforcements. Like, this is something that should never go past yourself into a VOD review like this. You should not allow yourself to not reinforce something. Just a moment ago, until this Valkyrie started reinforcing Hookah Hatch, there were 10 reinforcements up, which means nobody reinforced anything, including you. You were running around the map back and forth for 30 seconds, 40 seconds, doing absolutely nothing. Alright, this goes out to all my gold and silver below players. If you're playing Coastline, stop going Penthouse. It is far more attacker favored than Blue Bar Sunrise is. The only difference between the two is that you've spent more time playing Penthouse Theater versus Blue Bar Sunrise, which in turn makes you feel like Penthouse Theater is a better bomb site because you know how to defend it more. But you're only making your job harder. Also, you're going Penthouse Theater before you're going Kitchen Service, which is arguably one of the best bomb sites, and in my opinion, the best bomb site on the map. Hookah is a hell in a cell, and Blue Bar and Sunrise, if everyone knows how to defend that, I'm also as comfortable going Blue Bar and Sunrise as I am going Kitchen. But to all of my gold and silver player viewers out there, stop going Penthouse Theater, learn how to play Kitchen Service, and learn how to play Blue Bar Sunrise. If you want to learn how to play this game and stop going through the same rotations of every single map in every single time you play this map, and if you want to put yourself in a better position in terms of round count, when you're in this low of elo of silver below or gold, low gold and below, those players aren't going to know how to attack Kitchen Service as much as they know how to attack Penthouse Theater or Blue Bar Sunrise. They're not going to know how to attack Blue Bar and Sunrise and Kitchen and Service just because they haven't attacked it as much as Penthouse Theater. So if you want to be ahead of the curve, so to speak, and beat your enemy in the bomb site selection, then start learning how to play Kitchen Service and Blue Bar Sunrise. You will thank me in the long run. If you don't know how to play it, watch Pro League. Watch Pro League streamers. You know, there's a lot of great content out there. I even have a Blue Bar Sunrise breakdown of how you should kind of a basic layout of the bomb site. That's a very common, lack of a better term, strategy. It's not actually a strat. It's just a layout blueprint of the bomb site, a very default thing to do. But if you even do that, you're going to be a step ahead of the enemy just because you're going to a bomb site that they don't know how to attack. And if you play the defense well, you're going to win the rounds. It's just as simple as that. So, once again, start learning how to play Blue Bar Sunrise and Kitchen Service, please.
Oh, fuck off. You got...
So, there's two decisions you can make here. Either you can blow the nitro early like you did, or what you could do, since you're already in this position of throwing your nitro on the barricade, you could save it, wait for an attacker to melee the barricade, and then detonate it. Same thing with like a castle barricade. You know, you might have an attacker that last round meleeed a castle barricade open, and then the next round you put on the same castle barricade and predict their movements. You could do the same thing here. Wait until they melee the barricade. You can obviously hear the barricade, like it has its own audio cue. So you wait for that, you detonate it. This falls under the whole thought that I tell you guys about reacting off of intel instead of impulse. Or sorry, reacting off of impulse instead of intel. This is a huge common mistake that is very detrimental to players. They react off of their own feeling and impulse during a round instead of reacting off of info. What you did here, you reacted off of impulse, and you thinking or feeling like the attackers are near the barricade, you detonate the nitro, resulting in you not only destroying the ADS close to the doorway, also your Cade Claw. Instead, what you could have done was reacted off of the info, the barricade breaking, the audio cue of the barricade breaking, and then you detonate the nitro.
I'm gonna try and go around.
One friendly remaining.
You don't have time to flank here. If your teammate's calling that there's two on the clash, you need to grab your balls and actually peek the doorway. What that is that you just did there, you baited your teammate. You can very easily tell how like, in a 2v1 against a clash, and she's 25 HP, 1 HP pretty much, she's not going to make it out of there alive, man. Like, you already know that. So at least try to trade or help her a little bit, because what you did there, you baited her. And, you know, instead of it being possibly a 1v1 or a 1v2, it is now a 1v3 situation because you decided to flank. If you have accurate and consistent info on someone and you also need to help a teammate and you have the option to do that, when you're already in a man deficit, you need to take advantage of that to make the man count even, or at least help the clash a little bit. Because she is not making it out of here alive.
What?
All friendly
The
were
peak hole
eliminated.
in the wall.
Mission failure.
All right, so this doesn't really apply to this situation as much as what I'm about to say, but whenever you're in like a clutch situation or you're at a man deficit and you kind of need to take gunfights in order for the man count to be even again or close to it, or you need a clutch or whatever it really is. If you need to peek something but don't have any info on someone, you need to eliminate as many angles as possible while still baiting out the enemy, so to speak, in a way where it favors you to the point where you can take the gunfight without exposing yourself to all three attackers. In this situation, you're in a 1v3, right? So you shouldn't be wide swinging, so to speak, pre-firing. You should be trying to take a gunfight, especially since you're in a time crunch now where the diffuser's planted. Like, you have a very limited time for you to win this round. Also, another thing that I want to mention. If you helped the clash when you were in theater, which I don't know why you didn't, like, that is a huge fuck up, but you didn't help the clash, and the reason that you lost this round, or I don't want to say the reason, but a contributor to the reason you lost this round is because you rotated all the way into VIP, giving the attackers all of bomb site. Like, you went into VIP, you now became the attacker because you made one decision. When it comes to decision making and positioning in this game, a large portion of it is info and callouts. And if you lack that basic understanding and gathering of the info and stuff like that, then it's going to result in you positioning yourself poorly because you made a bad decision leading to a poor position. Does that make sense? So if you want to learn how to position yourself, if you want to learn how to make better decisions, you need to listen to callouts and all of the info that you have to your advantage. Because if you don't, you're going to make one simple mistake like you did here of trying to wrap all the way around into VIP, go 90 and shoot everyone in the back. Instead, you just need to grab your balls, don't be a pussy, and help your teammate out. Because you baited him. Like, there's no other explanation for what you did there.
Drone has located a bomb.
Alright, so a rule of thumb when it comes to droning and prep phase. If you don't have a intended purpose or place for your drone to be, don't take it in the building. I'll just say it like that. If you don't have somewhere where you want to put your drone or pre-place it or something very specific, then don't take it in the building because it's just going to get shot like it is now.
Yeah, there is.
The diffuser
How
is no
have I
longer
just
in your
been
possession.
instantly killed?
I understand why you went into Sunrise so fast because they barricaded the door and you thought that nobody would be in Sunrise because they did barricade the door. If you're unsure of an area, and I even make this mistake myself, like I'll try to read the enemy and it gets me killed sometimes, and that's my mistake, and you did the same thing here of trying to read the enemy too much and it gets you killed. Just drone the rest of the room. It can't hurt. It really can't. Like, the barricade being put up is a great piece of info because that tells you until this barricade is ripped down, then nobody will rotate out. But at least clear the rooms that you're going to be taking, so that way you can maximize the info of the door still being barricaded. So that way you know, okay, Sunrise is clear, Jungle's clear, Cool Vibes clear, Blue Bar clear. All that's clear. And all throughout that point of you clearing and taking all that map control or getting info on it, if the door is still barricaded, then you know you only need to worry about long hallway, Cool Vibes, and office flank. Since the door is still barricaded, right? So make sure you're maximizing that info of the door being barricaded.
No, Blue Baron, Sunrise.
Again, same thing. You're just driving your drone aimlessly through the map. If you don't have a set location for your drone to be, don't take it in the building.
Legion's on the floor in the right. Oh. I think one of them's still down in that right corner.
Right, okay.
I think the Legion is the only one. I injured the smoke.
Yeah,
Which
Legion's
probably
dead.
raised them. No, the Legion's still alive.
I killed him. Legion's dead.
Op 4 eliminated.
Well,
Friendly mission
GG.
successful.
Good job on the clutch there. I don't want to discredit it, but there were a lot of mistakes that the enemy was making, which you ultimately capitalized on, which is good. But you're missing a huge piece of utility, which is your Zofia stuns. If you're not using your Zofia stuns, you're missing like half of the reason you're playing Zofia. The reason Zofia is such a strong operator is because of her gadget and her launcher. And more specifically, her Zofia stuns, or, concussion mines, whatever you want to call them. Most of you probably know this, but for the people who don't, Zofia concussion mines have a proximity effect the same way Ela mines do. So if you shoot a Zofia stun into a room and it detonates midair, that tells you that somebody was in the proximity of the concussion mine itself. If it doesn't detonate immediately, or it goes through the full fuse time, then that tells you either nobody is in that room or nobody was in the proximity of the concussion mine itself. But most of the time you can roam clear pretty large rooms. With a Zofia concussion, there are very specific places where it doesn't really work all that well. But either way, you should be using your Zofia concussion mines here. If you're not going to be droning getting info or whatever it might be for info itself, your Zofia concussion mines are intel, right? They give you info. So you need to be using them, especially in a 1v1 like the one that you were just in there, where the smoke is injured and you're just, it's you and the Legion. You need to be using everything you can, every tool, every piece of info to your advantage to put more leverage over the enemy. But kind of to wrap up the VOD here, the major thing that I want you to focus on is giving a purpose for every movement, everything you do in this game. Because you're lacking that in 95% of your gameplay. I can't see or think of a reason why you're doing something. You're just doing it, going through the motion. And this is a huge habit, horrible habit to make, and that a lot of players have, where they just do things and expect them to work, or they just do things and don't put any thought behind them. That is one of the worst habits to have in this game, because if you make a mistake along the way, it's going to make it much harder to find the mistake, because there was no purpose or thought behind the thing that you're doing in the first place. So you can't track the progression of whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Another thing when it comes to you and your playstyle is you need to be bouncing and playing off of your teammates. The round when you were Cade and there was the Clash alive in the 1v2 90 hallway, and you want to go all the way around to flank, and it ultimately lost you the round. You need to be playing off of your teammates instead of trying to do everything by yourself. Because if you swing the theater door there, live or die, at least you tried to help your teammate, which is the most important thing in this game, right? Is playing off of your team and playing as a team. And if you don't do that, then you're missing one of the most important aspects of the game in the first place. But other than that, I hope this VOD helped you out. I hope it helped out the viewers that are watching this. If you guys did enjoy or learn anything new, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. It also does help out with the YouTube algorithm. I also want to mention before I go that I'm doing coaching, so if you guys are interested in that, there's a link to the Patreon down below in the description, where you can find all of the info you need and more. And yes, I do coach console players. And lastly, I want to mention that I have a second channel. There's also a link to that, as well as a link to the Wichita Wolves, which I'm a content creator for. So make sure you guys go follow them and show them some love. But with all of that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and I will see you guys in the next video.